Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Taisha Morin. I support CTE recruitment here at New York City Public Schools. So before we begin, a few notes. Use the Q&A function to submit feedback, questions, ideas, and more, and we'll share what comes um, throughout the Q&A. At the conclusion of the session, we'll see the most common questions to try to answer as many as possible if it hasn't been answered throughout the presentation, time permitting. Don't worry if you miss something. We'll send a recording of tonight's presentation and a follow-up email. Please wait until the near end of the presentation as we'll be covering a large amount of information. We will respond to select questions as stated, time permitting, and you can find detailed answers to many commonly asked questions on our online support center, which we will also share throughout the presentation. So I want everyone to write down this website, teachnyc.net. It is the ultimate resource for all things related to teaching at New York City Public Schools. It's been redesigned to provide great new resources and tools to help you learn more about NYCPS and find the pathways to teaching that's right for you, including CTE. Tonight, we're going to speak about the transitional aid pathway for becoming a CTE teacher. If you are a career changer who is thinking about shifting to teaching from your industry area, you're in the right place. If you are already certified CTE teacher or certified teacher in any other subject area, you can join one of our general monthly info sessions to learn more about the application process. So we have a lot to cover tonight, so let's get started. We're hoping that you walk away with the following tonight: an overview of New York City Public Schools, knowing the key details about CTE, an understanding of the CTE landscape at NYCPS, including why it's such a big priority for this administration, understand the application and certification process to becoming a CTE teacher, and begin determining your own eligibility and pathway to becoming a CTE teacher. In this section, we'll do a brief overview of New York City Public Schools, a snapshot of the district, benefits of a career with NYCPS, teacher supports and opportunities, and more. So, as at NYCPS, we have leaders who understand the vital role of our schools, that the vital roles that our schools play in shaping students' lives and communities. And our Chancellor, Kumar Samuel, states, as a lifelong educator who has served our system as a teacher, principal, and superintendent, and as a parent of two NYCPS students, I know firsthand that our schools are the heart of our communities. I believe that our students from early childhood through graduation deserve uh, deserve schools that are safe, academically rigorous, and truly integrated. They should know that their children are learning the fundamentals, starting with reading, and are being challenged academically, guided by high expectations, strong instruction, and teachers who believe in them. So, why teach at New York City Public Schools? When you join New York City Public Schools, you join the largest, most dynamic district in the nation. And on the next slide, we're going to take a look at what that largest district looks like. So NYCPS has over 900,000 students who speak over 180 languages, a network of 77,000 fellow teachers, and New York City educators that have the unique privilege and responsibility to jumpstart the next generation of innovators, leaders, and citizens. NYCPS is comprised of 1,600 schools that are diverse as our students and the distinctive neighborhoods we serve. Within our schools, teachers build personal connections with their students, colleagues, and families to support relationship building and learning outcomes. To give you a sense of the growing need of teachers, the New York State law limiting class size means the need for teachers across New York City is growing significantly. We're hiring at record rates and need to be thinking long term about how we are going to make sure we have a strong pipeline of high quality educators to meet the needs across New York City. There's always new schools opening at NYCPS. This year we had 7 new ones opened, and there are already 5 scheduled to open in September 2026. And now we're going to take a look at our competitive salary. As of this year, teacher salaries at NYCPS start at 71,314 for a bachelor's and no experience, and 80,116, 166 with a master's and no experience. Teachers starting salaries vary based on education, experience, and they can earn additional compensation for teaching after school, summer school programs, and for teaching in demanding environments. As their careers progress at NYCPS, teachers earn longevity bonuses, have opportunities to move up in salary steps. These are the starting salaries, but we like to give a sense of what you could expect your salary to be as your career develops, and we're going to take a look at that on the next slide. So this slide looks ahead at what your salary would be in the future at New York City Public Schools. If you are currently in your 8th year of teaching with your master's plus 30 credits and professional development courses, you would be at 106,907. If you have 15 years of teaching at NYCPS with your master's degrees plus your 30 credits and professional development courses, you would be making 128,277. Remember, this is using the pay scale for the 2026 school season, so these rates are subject to increase with the yearly rates negotiated by the UFT contract. And you can find additional resources regarding salary on the NYCPS and the UFT website by accessing the QR codes. So we encourage you to utilize them. You can find the salary scale on UFT's website and then access our website to access all things salary and benefits at New York City Public Schools. So now we'll take a look at our robust benefits. We have comprehensive health insurance plans which include dental, vision, and prescription drugs, and some of these plans require no employee contribution. Annual retention bonuses prorated during your first year and increase each year. Membership with the United Federation of Teachers, enrollment in a pension plan. New York City Public Schools employees are eligible for many additional benefits, including commuter benefits, a college savings program, and employee discounts on everything from technology and media to travel and education. In addition to scholarships, financial incentives, and other special programs are available for many employees. There are also exciting loan forgiveness programs you could be eligible for as an NYCPS teacher. NYCPS employees may also be eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program or the PSLF. The PSLF program forgives the remaining balance on your direct loans after you've made an equivalent of 120 qualifying monthly payments under an accepted repayment plan and while working full time for an eligible employer. New teachers at NYCPS hit the ground running with professional resources and learning opportunities tailored just for them. In addition to many career development opportunities available to all teachers, We offer robust support for our teachers in person, online, and community settings, which include New Teacher Week, which is an annual event where new teachers can get inspiration from special guest speakers, learn more about key policies, engage with the United Federation of Teachers, UFT, and network with their fellow teachers. We also have school based mentoring, which new hires are assigned an experienced and trained mentor teacher to support professional growth through your first year, as well as the First Class newsletter, which is a monthly digital bulletin for first year teachers that spotlights vetted resources, teaching tips, and answers common questions that teachers at NYC Public Schools may have. No matter where they are in their career, they also have access to professional development opportunities at their schools, including coaching, professional development days, and after school learning opportunities. In addition to school based supports, optional development opportunities are made available from various teams, including New York City Public Schools offices, as well as the UFT. And then we also offer digital resources for busy teachers to find resources for their classroom and regularly stay connected to opportunities um, to extend their learning and impact. So, who is New York City Public Schools looking for? New York City Public Schools is dedicated to attracting and retaining the very best teachers for our schools. We're looking for passionate, collaborative, and committed teachers who reflect the incredible diversity of our student body. Passionate. Our team of exceptional educators are passionate about educating urban students, truly believing the power of education can have on our students' lives. Collaborative. Our teachers thrive on constant learning and collaboration with their colleagues. Committed. Our teachers go above and beyond for our students, understanding students' challenges and embracing their potential. Diverse. We seek teachers who are as diverse as our students. So help put our students on the path to college, careers, and a lifetime of learning. And what are some of the benefits to teaching at New York City Public Schools? You get to make a difference in the lives of your fellow New Yorkers, maybe even those in your local community. Focus on building a better future. Use your skills to help develop the nation's next leaders, innovators, and educators, as we mentioned. Build relationships with colleagues dedicated to a shared goal, and you'll be joining a robust network of over 70,000 fellow teachers, as we mentioned earlier. So we'll start by focusing on an overview of career and technical education, what it is, where we see the greatest need, and what it is like to teach CTE at New York City Public Schools. So, what is CTE? Career and technical education teachers provide academic and technical instruction along worksite based learning experiences for high school students in New York City Public Schools. NYCPS is currently offers 260 plus programs of study across 130 schools spanning over 16 CTE industry areas. And why teach CTE? And why is NYCPS so committed to expanding CTE opportunities? And what do CTE teachers find inspiring and meaningful? Teaching CTE is a great way to use your industry experience to prepare students for life after high school and to introduce them to career opportunities and requirements. Students are able to develop skills needed for specific career areas through their hands on learning experiences in high school. Some of the CTE industry areas include computer technology, nursing, business, and more. And you can visit the state's webpage to learn more about the industry requirements for each industry area. And we'll talk more about how to find out if NYCPS has a CTE program in your industry area later in the session. We are especially interested in applicants with experience in high demand fields such as technology, computer science, healthcare, trades and technical services, which include things like HVAC and electrical, etc. If you have industry experience in these areas, you can expect to see more CTE teaching opportunities available. We're excited to take a few minutes for you to hear about the impact of CTE at NYCPS from the perspective of our students and CTE teachers.
On outside the classroom.
So one of
The best part of the CTE program is the real world knowledge.
The hands-on and the curriculum.
Learning new things and being able to pursue what I really want to do in my life.
I would describe Career and Technical Education program as a pathway for students who are intrigued by working with their hands, by building things, and have that engineer mindset.
Career and Tech Ed now prepares kids for both college and careers. It allows students choices, and that's really what school's about.
When you mesh college readiness with career readiness, you get a well-rounded individual, someone who can be the leader of tomorrow.
What they really receive here at a career technical education program is the exposure to the industry that they could pursue.
Industry partners are key to the success of CT schools because they guide us on what's up and coming.
They let us know what's going on outside the classroom.
So one of the state requirements is that our kids get 60 hours of internship. Those internship hours are through our partners.
Let's face it, CTE, the first word is career. They provide that real-world career experience for our students. So without them, we wouldn't have that.
It was amazing. I interned alongside two doctors. There were two gynecologists. I was listening to the doctors' stories. I was listening to them put information together, and it's just an experience that blows your mind. And like, I plan on going back next year.
I'm now attending a construction skills program, which is going to be able to get me into the union, which the school works with.
The industry partners are critical for our success. At each term, we can place up to 32, 36 sometimes, students in restaurants.
We usually get about 5 or 6 students go straight into the union right after high school. We also have students that get hired by our industry partners.
So what's interesting about CT schools is that their graduation rates and their attendance rates are higher than normal academic high schools across the city.
Students come to our school with a passion for whatever it is that they want to study, and that motivates them.
Not only are we excelling academically, but we're excelling in our CTE courses, so we know what to expect when you go to college. It gives you an advantage over other students.
The difference between a CTE graduate and a traditional graduate from high school is that the CTE student brings a level of professionalism and a commitment to a career.
CTE is all about mentoring and guiding our students into the right direction, into the right career.
The hope is that they choose what's best for them. But if this is it, then great. We'll push them, we'll support them, carry them if we have to. They have choices.
And those skills are always going to be with you. They're yours, they're yours to keep. It's in your toolbox. Even down the pipe, if you decide, this is what I probably want to do, well, you have something to fall back on.
Once we graduate high school, we know all this stuff and we get our certifications.
We come in here and we have many opportunities and we can strive and we can form our own careers here. And not only do we start our career, but we enhance our careers so that when we do go into the job industry, we start out at the top with the best education possible.
We hope you enjoyed learning about the impact of CTE from the perspective of our students and teachers. Now we will dive into CTE teaching certification pathways, exploring the most common pathways, providing examples, and guiding you on how to choose the pathway that best suits you. So if you're a career changer, the best pathway to becoming a CTE teacher is through Trans-A certification. A Trans-A certificate allows the employment of individuals with industry experience who meet the educational and/or occupational requirements of the New York State Education Department for career and technical education industry area. What is unique about Trans A certification is it allows you to teach before receiving an initial certificate, which is the typical first certificate for most NYCPS teachers. So let's take a look at the difference between traditional teaching certification and Trans A certification. In a traditional teaching program, candidates must earn your teaching certificate before you can teach in a classroom. You must obtain a bachelor's degree in education. This typically takes about 4 years and requires specific coursework and in-field training. On the other hand, Trans A certification is a non-traditional route to becoming a teacher. It allows candidates with industry experience to share your industry related knowledge with students without having to go through a teacher preparation program. And you can earn a CTE teaching certificate without any prior teaching experience. So, Trans A certification is provided by the New York State Education Department. We'll review the process tonight, but note that we do not make final award determinations. A Trans A certificate allows you to teach grade 7 to 12 for 3 years. Within those 3 years, you will need to remain at the same NYCPS school and complete the coursework requirements to apply for an initial certificate, and we'll talk more about that a little later as well. You can use this QR code to review the NYSED experience requirements by title to identify the industry area in which you have the most experience and or education in. This tool gives a detailed description of what work experience NYSED is looking for your desired industry area, and we encourage you to thoroughly utilize all the tools that we will mention throughout the presentation, but specifically this tool will let you know what type of work experience is acceptable to NYSED and compare it to your resume to see if your experience is in alignment with what the state is looking for your particular industry area. So there are many different pathways teacher candidates can take to receive a Trans A certification. The pathway you choose will likely depend on your education level, your industry experience, and any industry credentials you have. Tonight, we're going to be going over some of the most common pathways, and we'll share information about where you can get more details about all the pathway options. As stated, there are multiple pathways available for Trans A certification. This chart shows at a high level the multiple pathways available for Trans A certification. Again, the pathway you choose will likely depend on your education level, your industry experience, and any industry credentials you may have. And we say it at the high level because this shows you at the baseline what NYSED is looking for each particular option. But we will show a tool later on that will show you where you can see all the specifics for each pathway for your industry area, where there might be additional requirements for your particular industry area that NYSED is looking for. And that's why we ask that you double and triple check all these resources to confirm that you meet those requirements. And this tool is the New York State certification requirements page. This is where you're going to search the relevant pathway requirements for your industry area, as I stated earlier. Be sure to check this webpage carefully to find the specific requirements for your industry area, as they are unique to your particular industry area. When searching on this page, you'll input the following information in the drop-down menu. Select Career and Technical Teacher as your area of interest, and then the industry area you're interested in as the subject area. The grade level dropdown will only provide grade 7 to 12, as that's the only grade level you can teach for Trans A certification. And then you will select the specific title you want to see the qualifications for. And then you'll select Trans A as the cert license. and press search to see all the specific pathway requirements for your industry area. There are some items that are required for a Trans A certificate across all pathways. These requirements include completing 3 workshops, committing to teaching at the same NYCPS school for 3 years of your Trans A certification, receiving a year of mentoring and daily supervision your first 20 days of teaching, fingerprint clearance, and we'll talk a bit more about some of these requirements tonight. And you can also find more about this on the QR codes. And as stated, I know there's a lot of QR codes throughout the presentation. If you're not able to access all of them, we'll be following up in an email with the presentation, with the recording. So pathways A and B are the most common pathways CTE candidates use to get their Trans A certification. To qualify for pathway A, you must have at least an associate's degree in the field you are applying for and a minimum of 2 years of work experience in that field. Pathway B is also very popular. To qualify for this pathway, you must have at least a high school diploma and at least 4 years of experience in the field you're applying for. And you must take and pass the New York State Teacher Certification Exam, communicative, quantitative skills, and you can find out more in that QR code again. Some additional pathways we see candidates use is pathways G and J. To qualify for pathway G, you must have at least 2 years of work experience in the field you're applying for, as well as hold an industry credential or pass an approved industry exam. To qualify for pathway J, sorry, one second, I went ahead. All right, now onto pathway J. To qualify for pathway J, you must have a bachelor's degree or higher in the field and either 1 year of work experience or an industry credential. As you can see, each pathway is unique, and there are further nuances within pathways depending on your industry area. You want to be sure to check the state certifications requirements page and your industry requirements page to see what you might qualify for. So we know that navigating pathways can be quite complex. So let's talk through a couple of examples. In our first example, we have Lena. Lena has an associate's degree in mechanical engineering technology from Queensborough Community College, and she has worked for 5 years as a mechanical engineer. Lena should pursue pathway A as she has an associate's degree in the industry field, as well as 2 years of work experience in the field. As our second example, we have David. David has worked as a registered nurse in a New York hospital for the past 3 years. Because David has an industry credential, which is his registered nursing exam, he should pursue pathway G because he also has at least 2 years of work experience in addition to the industry related credential. And as our last example, let's consider Jasmine. Jasmine has been working as a hairstylist and manicurist since she graduated from high school and obtained her New York State cosmetologist license. Jasmine should pursue pathway B, which does not require any higher education after high school or GED. However, Jasmine will have to take the New York State Communication and Quantitative Skills exam. Note that according to NYCE's requirements page, a cosmetology license is required for all pathways to become a CTE cosmetology teacher, even where an industry license isn't listed as the requirement. This is why it's so important to carefully check the NYCE's requirements page for your industry area and pathway. And another example of that is in the previous example Practical nursing is one of those areas where NICED requires you to have a registered nursing license across all pathways options. So this is why we emphasize the importance of looking up the specific requirements for your industry area, as there might be additional requirements that is not universal to all industry areas. Alrighty. So we will now dive into the next steps of becoming a CTE teacher, the job search process, and answering questions you may have at the conclusion of the presentation, time permitting. So step one, you're going to choose your CTE industry area. We know that CTE application and the CTE certification process can be quite confusing. So we've broken down the process into 6 steps, and we're going to walk through each of them, starting off with choosing your CTE industry area. So once again, first you'll select your CTE industry area. Be sure to carefully read the requirements on the state's website to make sure you will meet the qualifications for your selected industry area. And that QR code is the NICE's experience by title page, where you will see the descriptions, as mentioned earlier, so that compare your resume to see if your experience is in alignment with what NICE says will count towards your work experience. Next, you'll select your certification pathway for your selected industry area. Look at the various pathway requirements on the state's websites. Ask yourself the following questions to determine which one is right for you. What is your education level and background? What is your work experience? What, if any, industry credentials do you hold? Have you completed an industry level assessment? Remember, there's no one size fit all option with choosing your pathway. And you might find that there are multiple pathways you may qualify for after asking yourself these questions and comparing your background to NICE's requirements. It's at the discretion of a candidate to determine which pathway, utilizing our resources and the state's resources, to determine which one is best for you. And it might be that you might qualify for more than one, but it's for you to decide which of those multiple that you are more confident that you will be successful in obtaining certification in to apply for it. Step 3, you're going to apply for a NICED certification. As we mentioned, NICED and New York City Public Schools are 2 separate entities. NICED is your certification applications. They're the ones who make the determination around if you will get certification. New York City Public Schools, you're applying to our application to access teaching positions. So you're going to want to create a Teach account. This is where you'll submit all information regarding your Trans-A certification, which include things like transcripts, evidence of industry credentials, and more, depending on which pathway you decide to apply for. And a continuation, your required documentation will depend on the pathway you selected, as we mentioned. However, all pathways are required to submit a work verification form to NICED. Please be sure to get a copy of any work verification form submitted on your behalf. You may need it for a follow-up. And this part is also pertinent to your Trans-A certification, as this is how NICED evaluates if, one, your work experience counts towards what they're looking for. Also, if your years of experience meets the pathway that you're applying for, and they're verifying this with your current or previous employer. So this is a very, very important step. So make sure to keep a copy and make sure to submit this to NICED as well. And again, to reiterate, NICET and NYCPS, separate entities. We talked about the certification aspect. NYCPS is where you're going to submit your teacher application. In order to submit your NYCPS teacher application, you need to visit teachnyc.net. The 2026-2027 NYCPS teacher application is still open, and apply now to gain access to CTE job and opportunities to join NYCPS classrooms. Next, you're going to want to update your resume to get ready for your CTE teacher application. Here are some tips to consider when updating your resume. Make sure relevant experience for your industry area is visually prominent with headings like related industry experience. Be sure to clearly describe your roles and responsibilities and highlight your years of experience. Keep in mind that your resume is pertinent to the review of the NYCPS teacher application. It allows us to review your experience against the requirements for the New York State Education Department for your desired industry area, which will determine if your application is successfully screened and gain access to NYCPS job opportunities. So oftentimes we'll get inquiries from candidates about their applications being declined, and they'll say like they believe that their application is eligible, and will converse with us regarding this, and we reiterate the review for CTE is strictly based on if your resume shows that you meet the requirements for NICET. So if you want to increase those chances, you need to ensure that you submit a resume that reflects the proper years of work experience and the type of work experience to show that your work experience is in alignment with the industry area you're interested in applying for and the pathway you're interested in applying for. Just to give you a sense of the typical application and hiring timeline, the application typically opens in January and remains open through the summer. As we say, it's still open. There's a lot of mid-year hiring that takes place during the early winter months, and then principals begin hiring and interviewing for the following school year. And just a reminder, our summer hiring application deadline is August 6th, just to put that on your radar, as we are now in July and approaching that summer hiring deadline. And we're almost there. I know it's been a lot of information, but step 5, be sure to complete your required workshops. NYCPS is an official provider of these workshops, which you can find more information about on this webpage. And step 6, begin your job search. So you selected your industry and pathway. You submitted your NICET and NYCPS applications and collected your updated resume and documentation. It's time to begin your job search now. Our office will review your NYCPS teacher application. If it seems like you've met the state's requirements for your selected industry and pathway, your application will be entered into the new teacher finder. This is our online job board, and we'll talk more about this shortly. Remember that you are responsible for finding your own job and securing a job offer and committing to 3 years of teaching at the same um, NYCPS school is a state requirement for obtaining Trans A certification. We offer lots of different job search supports and encourage you to take advantage of them all, including researching schools online, conducting direct outreach to schools, and using the new teacher finder and vacancy list we send you via email once your application is successfully screened, and attending workshops and networking events you're invited to. One way you can promote success in your job search is by considering districts and neighborhoods and schools where your talents are most needed. If you are certified in a certain high demand subject area, this is especially true. If you're really determined to work here at NYCPS, you should also think strategically about where you're looking for a position. If you want to go where the jobs are, consider teaching positions in the Bronx and Brooklyn. This year, 58% of our new hires occurred in schools in these boroughs. It's important that you find a school that's the right fit for you, but don't exclude schools because they're slightly out of your comfort zone or in a different borough from where you live. Almost all of our schools are easily accessible by public transportation, and we have students who need great teachers in all 5 boroughs. One helpful job search tool is the new Teacher Finder. Once you submit a high quality application, you will get access to the new Teacher Finder. You will be able to log in and use the new Teacher Finder in several ways. Your application profile will become viewable to principals and recruiters. You'll be able to search for teaching positions. It's important to know that not all principals list positions in the NTF, but many do. And this will give you a sense of what's out there. Principals may not post positions, but they could be looking and reviewing resumes to see which candidates can be a good fit for their schools. If you're certified in a high need subject area, you may receive invitations to NYCPS sponsored recruitment events during the spring and summer. And it's important to note that not all candidates are invited to all events online or in person. Overall, application quality, event capacity, and current certification needs are taken into consideration when inviting candidates to networking events. And then to further on this is a screenshot of what the NTF looks like after selecting search all positions. On the left panel, you can filter for positions, the type, your preferred borough, grade level, and subject area. Principals enter their vacancies into the NTF, and while you can express interest via the NTF, you should also email principals directly. And to learn more about specific schools, you can go to schools.nyc.gov and use the school search feature right on the homepage. You can search for schools by name, borough, and grade level to help you narrow down your options. However, you'll want to remember that this tool lists every school in our system, not just those with openings. So once you've identified schools that interest you, you'll need to contact them directly to inquire about position availability. To learn more about an individual school, you can click the individual school's name, which will take you to the page that contains a wealth of information about a school. Click on the school website to go directly to their website. Click on their overview to see some data about their grade levels, enrollment, district, and more. Click on school quality for district links to school quality guides and report for the schools. Click on reports for additional information about school programs and finances and way more. So, deep breath. You've made it this far. We're almost to the end. Let's briefly recap the CTE process and your next steps, as well as where you can get additional support. We'll then go through questions we haven't answered yet to see if we can address them, any of them now, time permitting. I know that time is getting closer. We're going to try to answer as many as possible that reflects questions that have been coming from the group. As a brief recap, Trans A certification is the main route for non-teacher candidates to teach CTE. There are multiple pathways to Trans A certification, depending on your education and industry experience. Meeting the requirements of a pathway of your desired industry area is required for your NYCPS teacher application to be successfully screened. Securing employment with NYCPS and committing to 3 years to a NYCPS school is a requirement to obtain, in addition to requirements outlined throughout this presentation, and follow the steps outlined to get started. As a preview to what happens after you receive a job offer, your principals will coordinate the next steps with the district's Human Resources Director or the HRDs. The HRD will contact you for documentation to submit to the NYCBS CERT office. If the documentation submitted indicates that you meet the state's requirements for your selected pathway, the CERT office will grant you a temporary certification so you can begin teaching. Note that they will only do this if they are confident you meet the state's requirements, so be sure to double and triple check those requirements on the state's website before applying. As we mentioned, the Trans-A certificate is valid for 3 years. Within those 3 years, you'll need to complete 3 courses, which is 9 credits total, as well as paid teaching. Visit the webpage linked here for additional information about initial certification. And you can visit our online support center for 24/7 support with the application and hiring process. The support center contains hundreds of articles about every stage of the application and hiring process, as well as a contact us button where you can submit your question to the TRQ help desk for a personal response from a member of our team. And subscribe to teachnyc.net to stay connected to resources, communications, and updates and more of all the cool things happening at NYCPS and our great opportunities. We have a very active LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook and YouTube. Last season, we reached millions of prospective and current teachers through our posts, so follow us and tag us to join the conversation. And check us out on YouTube to watch a video recording of all of our information sessions, teacher spotlights, and way more. As we said, we will be providing you with a follow-up email of the recording. And our recordings live here on YouTube, so you can access previous info sessions that took place as well here. But this is where the recording from tonight's sessions will live on. So this is also where you can access other recordings from previous sessions. And here are some additional links to websites and resources that can support you throughout the process. We have NYSED's CTE site. This is all things Trans-A certification and requirements through the state. The Teach NYC CTE site, which is all things CTE resources, both state and NYCPS, and navigating the CTE process, whether that be the NYCPS application or certification. Then we have the NYCPS CTE site. This speaks more towards schools and programs and offerings where you can learn more about CTE at NYC Public Schools. And then, as we mentioned, our online support center where you can get 24/7 support regarding your application or any inquiries you have regarding NYC Public Schools.